editorials on an ongoing story. You hit us too hard. Senate tells Bakare, and listen to the riders, says Pentecostal pastors' charges unfair, unsubstantiated, born out of personal frustrations and unfulfilled political aspirations. Of course, the pastor had delivered a State of the Nation address that was, a bit damaging, so to speak, on the administration's efforts, so to speak, at socio-economic development, speaking generally. And this is the response.
And directly at the National Assembly too.
Yeah, and this is speaking to a reply to the State of the Nation address by the Pentecostal pastor. Well, I wonder if this is as objective as it can get. Perhaps sometimes, silence when criticisms are made is more appropriate than a reply, because then the reply, doesn't reflect on the objectivity or the performance of self-evaluation of the efforts of the administration, so to speak.
Interesting times where a Nigerian News Direct also toes a path of this Nigeria with a response of a Senate to Pastor Tunde Bakare saying, don't vent your political frustration on National Assembly. But one thing we need to ask is, you see, the National Assembly is a representation of the society, right? So what are the constituents saying to their representatives about these issues, about the way they voted when it comes to rivers? And I'm talking about you, right? You have a representative in the Senate, in the House of Reps. Are you okay with what they're doing? So it's not just like Pastor Tunde Bakare is, what do they call it now? Is taking Panadol for your headache. I think it's a conversation we also need to have. What are you saying to your lawmaker? But that's it with the front pages this morning,
guys. The National Assembly should do us a little favor. The Senate President, the Speaker of the House of Reps, should give us the log of the names of the people that sat and endorsed that state of emergency and the suspension of elected officials, so that we can share with Nigerians, say, these are the people, if you don't like what they did, please make sure you start recalling them, or you vote them out in the next election.
Or you vote for them again if you like what they did. Or you vote
for them again if you agree that they did rising with River State. That's why we're insisting that everybody, we should have known your pattern. As a legislator, we're supposed to be able to track how you voted on all issues while you were in the assembly. We should be able to track, especially constitutional issues. We should track. But
I'm not so optimistic about the partisanship or the non-partisanship of those that would have to vote.
So the Senate came up with this idea of responding to Tunde Bakare's statement, how he criticized them as being one of the worst Senate we've ever had, in his recent statement when he lashed out at the Senate and how Bola Tinubu had turned Nigeria into a motor park kind of politics. In the Senate's response to Tunde Bakare, they said that he hit them hard. But not only that his criticism of them is unsubstantiated. And not only that, it is based on contempt of them, and the fact that he also had failed political ambitions. Now, do you agree with that? Because what the Senate is saying is that there are no corroborated evidence to show why he's criticizing them that way. And now we are wondering, are we seeing something different from what the Senate is actually saying? So we're going to break all of this down. But I want you to watch this to the end. And also, if you're meeting this content for the first time, like, share, and subscribe. If you've been following us and you've not subscribed, do so. Now, let's break this thing down. The Senate says that the criticism of Pastor Tunde Bakare is of some... The Senate says that the criticism of Pastor Tunde Bakare is unsubstantiated. It is politically motivated. And because he has failed in his own political ambition, he's actually criticizing them based on that. But I wonder, and I think a lot of Nigerians will wonder and ask, have we not been seeing the corruption by the Senate? Have we not seen the breach of the Constitution by the Senate? The things that Tunde Bakare mentioned, are they not right? Is the Senate not described as the most corrupt, the most spineless, this 10th assembly, and this 10th Senate, as the most corrupt and the most spineless of in Nigeria's history? A Senate that sings on the mandate we stand of the president, a Senate that is meant to be for checks and balance, have not at any point in time checked and balanced the executive. As a matter of fact, they've actually aided the executive in their misrule and malhandling of the Nigerian constitution together with the judiciary. I think the only thing that Tunde Bakare left out is not calling the judiciary. That's another one for another day, though. But for all the things that we've seen from this Senate, the corruption allegations, the bribery allegations, the Senate president being accused of sexual harassment, and the way they did not follow due process based on the constitution. Let's take the River State one, for example. You needed to follow proper quorum to make sure that when you call for a vote like that to say state of emergency, you put your hands up so we can have a record of who voted for, who voted against. The Senate used voice vote. The Speaker of the House of Assembly did exactly the same thing in the House. That's the Speaker. The name of that Speaker is Tajuddin Abbas. He did exactly the same thing. And you're saying that Nigerians are not seen or were blind. Are you trying to do us American wonder? Somebody said that if the president wants to make a man into a woman, the Senate will agree to it. Another person actually obviously did mention that if it was this same Senate or National Assembly that we had when Obasanjo wanted a third term, he would have gotten his way, because they have no boldness, no spine to say to the executive, you've overreached. This is our own terrain. We're meant to, even though you are the executive and we're of the same party, you cannot cross this boundary, because what the system puts down in place is that the lawmakers are meant to be the ones to check the executive, and also using the judiciary too as well to make sure they don't overreach. So when the executive overreaches, you're meant to say, no, sorry, you cannot. The people, you're representing the people to check the president. If not, we have a monarchy. This is the same National Assembly that sang on the mandate of Bola Tinubu. They stand. And you're saying that what Tunde Bakare said is politically motivated. Such effrontery. See, that's the audacity of corruption that we have from our Senate. It's the audacity of corruption. When we have a Senate president who has been accused of sexual harassment, and the man is still carrying on, he would not step aside for an independent investigation. He's aided and supported by spares. And this man tells us that what was saying is wrong. That's what they're saying. You have to ask them to give you the name. So today, we cannot say of our Senate today that they can tell us at every time there was something how they voted. We cannot say, because there's no record of it. It should have been gazetted to say, this is the people that voted on this particular bill, this particular issue. Today, we don't have it in our Senate. Do you know how much they bribe these guys all the time? Bribery. That's the same Senate president that told Nigerians that they spray into their mailboxes. We knew what it was. The same Senate president that was accused by the same lady of sexual harassment. That's the kind of Nigeria we operate in. The same Senate president they're taking his name to the international community. The embarrassment that we've gotten from our National Assembly, no one would have imagined it, but it was coming. The leadership of the Senate, I've said it several times. For all of you who are from the same place as this guy, for example, Michael Bamile, the Senate leader, for example, you guys need to make sure that this set of people don't come back. We know they will want to rig the election, but we need to make sure that we start to let them give account to us, because they're meant to represent us. That's the same kind of Senate we're talking about. It's the Senate we're talking about. It's the same Senate where Adam Soshomole mentioned that they have the free will to lie. Can you imagine? So the amount of corruption that happens in our Senate is amazing. That's why the former Prime Minister of Britain said that Nigeria is fantastically corrupt. When they look at, have you forgotten? This same Senate was actually alleged, and the National Assembly, let's put them together, were alleged to have asked for millions of naira from a tertiary institution to pass the bill, their budget. That same Senate. And this is one of many. So I will ask you to put the others that you remember in the comment section. Where we are right now is where we need to start calling out locally, call out your senators, call out your House of Rep members at the state and the federal level. They have to now start giving us account of how they voted, the bills they've actually helped pass, one they've co-written, the ones they've written. So let's know they're doing some work, not go and be benchers there and just sit down and get paid and don't worry. They need to show us what they've done, how they help push advancement towards their locality, their constituency. This is not about the federal government giving them money to do constituency projects. No. It's about them passing laws, but using that influence that they have through the executive to bring advancement. That's what lawmakers do all around the world. They put pressure on the executive to help do projects in their place of where they've come from, so that the people they're representing will know they're doing some work. But how come our one is different? They still get money to go and do projects in their constituency, and they will eat the money as well, plus all the monies they've been collecting, the bribes they've been collecting. It says you hit us hard. The faces of corruption that comes from that Senate, every time you look at it, you think, wow, the Nigerian Senate. A voice vote for a state of emergency. Can you imagine that? Senate president accused of corruption, but he still sits there. So the confidence that we have right now is for us to start speaking up. Let's start calling all of these guys out. We said we were not going to let them have a free will. We have to do that. They've had a free ride for so long, and we've allowed them. And God knows why we did that. But now we're asking, I'm telling all of you as well, your Senate, your lawmakers from your state, at the state level, at the federal level, check out the works they've been doing. Let's start calling them out. You can put their name in the comment section. We will address them. As long as we have proof of what they've not done right, we will call them out. It looks like Nigerians can see them. Let's start doing that. When your governor has not done the roads on your state roads or your local roads or something like that, let's call them out. Let's mount pressure on them. You deserve better working roads, better working hospitals, schools. In your locality, you deserve it. Your children should be going to the right schools with the right materials for them to learn with, not for somebody to be pocketing the money. Let's sit up. It's time for accountability. They cannot run away anymore with what they've been doing. The time of theft is almost over, if it's not over now. We need to make sure we use every medium we have possible to make sure that we force these people's hands to stop stealing from us. Let's use it. It is our time to do so. Don't cave in anymore to these guys. They will look out for themselves, and trust me, they are looking out for themselves. So call them out. Let us know in the comment section what you think about what they said, the statement they released, if you've read it. But we're just giving you a breakdown of what they're trying to say in total anyway. And remember, you need to start calling out your lawmakers. Call out the senator. If he's from your place, call him out. If he's one representing your constituency, call him out. All right? As always, if you're meeting this content for the first time, like, share, and subscribe. If you've been following us and you've not yet subscribed, do so. I will catch you up in the next video. Bye-bye for now. God bless you.